Good to go?
Yep.
All right, welcome everybody to our nuisance meeting, starting here at 5:30. The only member we're still missing is Melissa Clark, so hopefully she pops in at some point. First thing on the agenda is to approve the minutes from June 22nd. All in favor of approving those, say aye.
It has to be a motion, so
Oh.
somebody has to make the motion.
Okay, my bad. Anyone want to make the motion to approve those?
I'll second it. Nathan, then Melanie?
And then all in favor now? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Got a little ahead of myself there. Okay. And then we have next on the list is discuss our big old nuisance list here. But I am going to allow the community member, if you want to come introduce yourself. You are on our list, so please have, there's a mic here, wherever you're comfortable. Oh, this mic,
Right
this
here.
guy, yeah, unfortunately.
Do I have to like lean down into it? Can you-
Everybody
I was
asks
about
that.
to say, like,
All they need is your name and your address,
Yeah.
and then, yeah.
My name's William Robinson. My place is 40 Clevenger Avenue, where I have the container sitting. I got that container last year, the 1st of April. Delivered it. Recently got a divorce. The container was there to put building materials in and my tools and stuff to get it out of here. December 15th of 2025, I lost my job at UPS. I was there for 5 years. So, and I touched base with Courtney quite a bit when this first happened, and my plan was to be out of there at no later than December, November, because of that. January of 2026, finding jobs and trying to get my maintenance business going, it's just been a disaster, trying to get everything loaded up. I noticed the siding's blown off the house now, and the stuff that we want to do to it, I got to store in the container, buying a little bit at a time to fix the house up. So I'm with the post office now. I got a great job with them. Trying to get the insurance company and the things I bought in the container to keep it there. It's under the weather and stuff like that. That's what I have in there now. I was hoping to keep that there at least. I think me and Courtney talked about maybe like November 9th, the 1st or something like that would be suffice enough for me if that's possible. I put that container far enough back where, you know, you can't really notice it from place to place when you're going down the roads and stuff. So, you know, just try to help out, but it would have been gone last year if I could have, but I just haven't had a chance to because of the way everything is.
Yeah.
So
Sorry to hear the struggle.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Does everybody know the location? Okay, so everybody's put their eyes on where the container's at. I mean, it's not obstructing traffic. It's being mowed around. It's being maintained.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm not in the house right now. My daughter's renting to own that house. So I'm hoping that she'll be down here and, you know, rent the house and be in the community. So I'm trying to make it look nice for her, you know. With the cost of everything right now, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, why is everything so damn high?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
but I just wanted to touch base with you guys and let you know. Courtney came out to me and says, oh man, you gotta let me know what you're doing with that because I can't be here very much longer, so.
Yeah. So you want an extension basically till about November 9th?
Please.
Okay. Any concerns about that? Any thoughts as a committee?
That's what I asked for, is just reach out to us if you need help like that. I have no problem with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm for giving grace. So it takes a lot to come in here and ask for that.
Sure.
So I appreciate that, and I will. Does anyone have any other thoughts or concerns?
Was that 4 months? So we talked 4 more months of it there.
August, September, October, November. Yep.
It's November the 9th. I'd like to have a date tied to that.
That's fine, put a
Yeah.
date on it.
Okay.
That'd be fine for me too, so it's not all wishy-washy.
You need a
We all
motion
good?
for that?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to allow me to keep it on there until November 9th.
I'll second.
And we'll do a roll call. Nathan?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Okay, motion's passed.
Okay. Yeah, we'll
Just
do
stay
it.
in connection with me. If it gets there sooner, I can tell the committee.
Yeah,
And then just, like we talked about, is keeping it maintained.
yeah,
Just
yeah, that's fine.
like your yard seems like it's always mowed and,
Yeah, it has to be,
yep.
so.
I guess my only question is, are you looking to sell the property? I know you said rent to own
Well, my-
type deal.
My daughter's in there now, and she's wanting to purchase the property.
Okay,
So getting the loan and getting it forward, I know I gotta get everything out of there and the material put on the house, so she can buy it.
mhm,
So it's just, I can't wait around too much longer for her, November 9th. She's either gotta have it going on or she doesn't.
Mhm.
So, but I gotta get that container out of here. It's not fair for me to keep it there forever
okay,
when
yeah,
you're trying to clean up the town,
sounds good.
so,
Okay, well, thank you,
yeah, okay. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
of course.
You're welcome.
Okay, is there anything we need to take to council as far as that
No,
goes?
we're
Okay.
just gonna revisit it once we come through the next nuisance meeting. It'll be on here. It'll probably be, we'll make a color code here for, we can put it under working with Courtney, or
Mhm.
we'll make another color to
Yeah.
keep it off the list so it doesn't draw our eyes to those certain colors we have listed.
Alrighty, sounds good. Next on the list, if we just kind of want to work our way down here, and if you guys want to refer to the very last page, where it tells you how many nuisances we've had, how many are open, it kind of gives you the color coding as well if you have any questions. So these 6 in green are for committee follow-up. But total, we've had this year 54 nuisances, 32 completed, and 22 open working nuisances. So the 6 in the green, one of those is down now. The next one we have is a property on Main Street, an issued tag. Let's see here. We'll attempt to call the resident, spoke to the owner, will be removing items. 17th and 18th, committee to confirm next week. Okay, so West Main. I did drive by West Main today, and it's very close proximity to here. And there is still a lot of items on the porch. So I didn't really get, it's up on the porch in the corners, but I would say it's a lot of building materials. So I do think those are still there. So I'll just make a note here that they remain.
Okay, so that will make a note for me is to call back resident.
Okay. Then the next one, we had a nuisance, I guess he submitted to our portal. Some of the poles in Wingate are leaning. I did submit one in April, and Courtney submitted it to AEP. It was late April, and it's the very first pole as you pull into Wingate, and it's really crooked. So it's submitted, but
And we just need to keep following up on it. So it's just like with everything with AEP, when they get storms, those are not their first priorities, of
Right.
course. So what I always do is we have a direct contact here through AEP. And her and I have been exchanging emails like, hey, what's the status of this? What do you think on this? They're like, okay, well, we had a windstorm, in another state we had to attend to. So patience, I guess, but how much patience do we give when there could be, a safety concern, it could fall on, a car or a house or something like that. So if we can get these polls, because I think I sent this to the committee, he submitted it online. So if we can get the poll numbers, if you can't see the poll numbers, they should be at eye level. It's not like you have to climb it up or anything. But if you can get it where it resides in the address. So wherever that poll is,
I think there's more.
what's that?
401?
That's just the one.
That's just one. So
I think there's multiple. Since this man has submitted this, it sounds like there's more, maybe to like, when you go in and go to the left, potentially. And I've kind of,
There's no light poles on the other side.
No?
Just the one.
So what I would suggest the committee doing is to go drive back there. So if he's noticing it, this was an email that was sent to everybody on the 17th, his concern. He didn't put in, he just said that there were several that were leaning. So my request to the committee was, hey, can you at least try to see if there's a pool number? If not, get the closest address that the pool resides at, and then we can submit them all together.
Yep. So we've got the one for sure. So Nathan, are you willing to drive down there and just check it out?
That's fine.
And take any pictures that you see and submit those to Courtney, and then we'll have a full list of the issues. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, next. That should be hopefully simple. West Columbus Street, let's see. It was stated they have a collection of appliances as well as other items on the porch and around the house. I am not totally sure which one this is.
Okay, so this is the one right past Water Street on the right-hand side. It's a yellow house.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, we'll need to.
I did drive past it.
Okay,
The collection is not on a porch or in a yard, it's actually on a trailer.
okay.
And the, how it was reported is that the trailer's been there for quite some time. So I attempted to call, it is a rented property. There was no answer, left a message. At some point, I believe that we're gonna have to get with the owner, or tag it.
Is it the one by the library lot, the empty
Yes.
lot there?
Yep. I just need to get the pictures. I visibly put my eyes on it because you can't miss it when you drive down Columbus Street.
Okay, so
Nathan to get Nathan and Kyle to.
someone over, Nathan or Kyle, willing to grab a snapshot of that?
When we take care of Wingate.
Okay. Sounds good. So follow up on that to come. Then we had a grass issue on East Columbus. And I drove by this one today. And I believe this is a multi-unit place because it was kind of hard to find.
Right.
It's not super
from the road.
visible.
Yeah.
So I kind of did, it's right on the corner, across from the church. And the grass is cut.
Okay, so completed.
And I do have
Where?
pictures if you need that.
Okay.
Was that the one that we sent
Yes.
that day?
Yep.
It's not it's the empty lot right there. It's the church, it's the church parking lot.
It is the church parking lot? Okay, I thought it was the house right there because
Yeah,
there's a
it's-
few
That's
different.
the address for that parking lot on Google Maps. That's why we put it
Oh.
under that.
Okay,
I think they're, the reason they're not cutting that patch is because
it's
they
not.
had marked with those little flags because they're putting that,
Survey or something?
So this is the empty lot.
but now it's over waist high. Just that patch, it must be only about a 10-foot patch.
Yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't
So maybe
much.
just call
it's just the perimeter really, right?
Yeah, but I see they cut the church the other day and they cut the empty lot except that specific patch.
Okay.
But if you look, that's where all the flags are for running the fiber optic lines.
Okay. So do you know who to contact
Yeah.
for that?
Because I
Okay.
called them originally. Yeah.
Okay, so that one will be off the
And it's just a
list.
patch. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Alright.
like 10 foot. It's
Yeah.
between the curb and the sidewalk.
But there's not gravel, so maybe the lawn care service is not doing it because they think there's dirt or something
Yeah,
underneath
It's just
it?
got those red flags there where they was running the lines or whatever.
All right, I'll call the owner.
And then, this last one on East Main is another one I did a little drive-by. And it's a lot of flowers. There's not much grass there from what I saw. And in the back, it's mostly all gated, with a little driveway and a garage. But what little grass they do have, which I would say is beyond the sidewalk, is cut. And I do have a picture. But I'm not sure who, I mean, obviously I don't know who submitted it but I don't know if it's because there's so many flowers, if they're considering that, I don't know, overgrown, but it
Sort of
is,
like a CRP wildflower?
it's, yeah,
gardens.
it's a lot of flowers, a lot of bushes up against the
Does the back
house.
of the house run up against the alley where
Yeah.
the pool used to be?
Yes.
That's the one, it was in the back, on like where the fence is to the road, like the alley.
Mhm.
That was super high.
Oh, okay, well, that's
So,
not there anymore. You can you can see into the backyard, but again,
Well, it wasn't in like their back, like it wasn't behind the fence. It was like what was right up on the road.
Okay.
It wasn't the flowers.
yeah, I didn't notice that at all. So that is taken care of. So,
In the alley that we got.
Yeah, they cut that, I seen. Somebody
Okay.
did.
okay, so that takes care of most of that list. Then, again, we do have a nice little zoning section here. I have several emails in to Christy regarding these. There's not much we can do as a committee other than keep on Christy about sending letters, what's the follow-up, what's the next steps, and I have asked those questions. So I am still waiting to hear back from her. We have added more notes to these since the last nuisance meeting. And like we mentioned last nuisance meeting, 2 of these received a letter that said they needed to comply within 10 days, or they could get fees. So again, I haven't heard from Christy if they did do the proper protocol, go back online and resubmit construction applications, if you will. So waiting to hear back. Anyone have any thoughts or questions about zoning issues? I'll give you a second to look it over. Then, moving on, we have 4 in the solicitor mayor follow-up section, and they're kind of repeats, but we're just gonna keep on them as much as we can to make sure they're moving forward. So we have the one that was the last nuisance meeting. We said Pit Stick is sending a letter, and it was regarding multiple things on Main Street.
Right.
Did that letter get?
Yeah, so here's, well, when I sent the letter to you guys as a draft, the committee needs to probably see that and make sure that that's what needs to happen. Now, this was something I was gonna mention, is the letter that I sent to you guys is basically just on village letterhead, and then his, attorney language, and of course, for them to contact his office if there's any questions. The only concern that I have is because it's in April, and I know I've been working with the one on Main Street, and of course gave them the deadline at that time. Do we confirm that they're still there? Especially that one. Now, the one on Market Street, I can probably tell you it's probably still there. And this is just reading the caller, you know? I can probably almost guarantee that Market Street's still there.
Well, I walked past it this morning, so yes,
Okay.
it's still there.
So it's still confirmed.
Um,
The only question that I have is the one on Main Street, just because it's not visible. That was my
right,
only concern.
and it was really hard to even
Yeah.
figure it out.
Right. So
Um,
I think if we do send the letter, and I feel like, you know, because obviously they're gonna call his office, even if we do send the letter and just say at the time, I think I may change the language on there where it says at the time on April the 6th, 2026, it did appear and was confirmed that you do have chickens on the property. So at that point, if they've already removed them, then we can just disregard and mark it as complete. But I think on that one, we probably need to change that. The one on Market, it's obviously still there. So I think we probably, if it's okay, that I include, you know, on April the 6th, it was identified that you have poultry.
Yeah, do you need a recommendation for that?
Yeah, so are you guys okay with sending those letters? Because that was something that Mr. Pitstick's office wanted to confirm before. There's no action, so I just want to be clear and make sure that everybody read it. There's no action that it says if you don't remove it.
Right, that's what my thing with the letter, it was just kinda like
Yeah,
FYI.
regurgitating what you've already told.
right.
There's
But,
no-
You know,
deadline
again,
to have them removed,
and there's not. So that was my only concern that I seen with it, is that there was no repercussion if you didn't.
Right, that's kind of what.
It didn't state also how long you want to give to them. So
Right.
on this specific date, if you do not have them removed, then this is what will happen. That's the only
So-
concern. That's why I wanted to bring it here, because that wasn't included in that letter.
Is there someone, I don't know, would it be Christy? Would it be, I'm not sure who it would be, that could, like, check the air, check inside?
They don't do that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they don't zone monitor chicken. I seen it with my eyes, and somebody else that was in the office also seen it. So that's why I was saying is we probably need to put on there, as of April the 6th, it was identified that chickens were on your property.
So,
Me and Melanie's saying is that there was nothing in that letter that said, okay, we'll give you 30 days to remove it, and on, I don't know, December the 1st, if you don't have them removed, this is what will happen.
are we able to say, I mean, I don't want to just say it's on the mayor, but like, there will be a site visit to follow up on 30 days? Like, who would do that?
So, of course, you gotta be careful with not going on somebody's property, right? So if you guys are okay with this, and I'll send it back to the committee and just say what his answer was, is I would like to reach back out to Mr. Pitstick's office and say, okay, can we put, because our ordinance doesn't say, if you don't have them removed in 30 days, this is what's gonna happen. If we don't have it removed in 60 days, this is what's gonna happen. Our ordinance basically says absolutely no poultry. Now, from an attorney's standpoint, which that's out of my pay grade, can you put a time limit on it? So I guess what my question would be back to him is, can we put a time limit on it and say, we're gonna give you 2 weeks or whatever, whatever you guys decide? And say, can you add this to the letter? And then ask him, hey, if it's not removed within 30 days, what can we do legally to
Yeah.
remove them? Because
Or sheriff or something.
I mean, the health department has nothing to do with it, because, again, our ordinance says you cannot have them there. So at this point, it's gonna be up to this committee of how long you feel it's gonna be. But again, within the law, I don't know, do you fine them first? $150, let's just say that. So I think some of that question, I would feel needs to go back to Pitstick.
Does there need to be an ordinance to set up what those fines are, or is it just random, the committee decides what the fine is?
Well, it would need to go through an ordinance. But I mean, at this point, you don't have, see, you gotta be careful with that. Because if the chickens are already there and you create an ordinance, let's just say tomorrow, guess what?
get
That
grandfathered
doesn't
in.
apply to them.
What about amending the current ordinance?
It doesn't matter because they're already currently there.
It's like getting grandfathered, it sounds like.
So what I'm saying is that I would ask, there has to be something that we can do, because it says you no longer can have them on the property, okay? So I would suggest that we put something in to these particular 2 addresses and say to Pitstick, what is some of those, what would be a lengthy time to do that? And what happens if they don't? They need to be aware that there is a repercussion if you continue to keep them there.
So, yeah, let's ask Pitstick, but they've been given ample time. So I think the shorter option,
30 days.
yeah, if he says 30, if he says 2 weeks, whatever he suggests. And then I'd also like to know what he would suggest as far as
What would happen?
repercussions, yeah. Is
What
it
would
a
be a
fine? Is it a sheriff visit? What is it?
Mhm.
Do we fine them daily, weekly, monthly?
Yeah, so
And
let me
then-
get,
Penalties in place, right?
what's that?
There's no penalties in place
It's
in
not.
the ordinance.
No. So let me, if I can go back to them and
Suggest,
tell him what he can put on there, I will share it with you guys, because again, the recommendation I'm gonna get from you guys is to allow whatever the solicitor, so that, because you're not gonna have a meeting until the end of September anyway, or August, yeah. It would be, you would be past the 30 days. So the recommendation, I think, that needs to be brought here so that we can move forward with this and not have to wait until the next meeting, because it's gonna be over 30 days, is say, the recommendation is whatever the solicitor has recommended, because he is your legal counsel. Whatever your legal counsel suggests is what you would need to move forward with.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make the recommendation then to connect with the solicitor regarding those questions, and let's move forward sooner than the next nuisance meeting. Does anyone want to?
I'll second that.
But I will send an email back to you guys what that is, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so that was Heather, and then Melanie. Okay, and we'll do a roll call. Nathan?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yep.
Melanie?
Yes.
And Heather.
Yes.
Okay.
And then it sounds like a good follow-up for this committee would be to look at that ordinance and apply some penalties. So, is that something Pit Stick could recommend, or,
Oh, yeah.
okay,
I mean, it'd be good if we can give, I like to save the money if we can. It'd be good, like, maybe to have you guys have something, like look at other, villages and cities that, have penalty options and what seems feasible, because you don't want to make it too low where they're like, okay, it's $25 a day, I'll pay it for the next month. You got to make it make sense, but you also got to make it mean, like this is enforceable.
yeah.
So,
So maybe from the letter that he sends out, that'll give us a good recommendation of a penalty. Okay. So we kind of knocked out two there. I will say, I haven't noticed the semi. I do notice a piece of mechanical equipment, like a dump truck over there. But it is in the driveway.
Yeah.
Is that fine?
well, I think you're going to touch on that, and I hope you are, but I don't want to touch on it until you talk about it. Creating a driveway is not a driveway. So I think you pulled the ordinance that I think you might be talking about that. So just because you put gravel down doesn't mean that's an acceptable form of a hard surface. It's not an acceptable form of you've just created a parking spot. Because remember, driveways are zoning regulated. Okay, so you can't just put gravel down and say, oh, I've got my motor home on top of my gravel now. Because guess what you've just created? A driveway, and a driveway requires a permit. So that is something that, and I don't know if that's what you were gonna talk about, but that was a little bit of my concern. Is that
That's-
we're calling everybody and we're telling them, okay, put it on a hard surface. But the hard surface to us is, okay, re-gravel it, put it in your driveway, put it on your asphalt driveway, because you know how some people they have the driveway to their garage and then they have like a little apron that goes to the side. Those are acceptable forms. Acceptable forms of hard surfaces is your asphalt, concrete, or gravel. But if you are just creating, and there are 4 or 5 off the top of my head, that they've just created a gravel spot to put it, that's considered a driveway, because technically you can access the road up to that spot. That is what a driveway is consisted of. So we need to watch that, is that because what has to happen is they have to go through zoning to get a driveway permit.
Yeah, so that one's actually listed in the zoning area. It's the very top one. And I have asked Christy, because she notified us that you indeed have to have a permit to put in a driveway, but that the gravel is not what you could call a driveway. So it's a very gray area. So I wasn't going to dive too deep into it because I was waiting on some of Christie's, but it's kind of a gray area. But it does seem like people are using that as a solution all around town.
Yeah. There's
With
one that
campers,
You can't
with,
miss if you drive out of town, like courthouse.
so, yeah, there's more to come on that one.
Now, I do have this Wingate one. I was looking at this one. I don't know if it was coded. This is the one on Wingate. Melanie, this might be what you probably notice or could notice. Is the deputy did make contact with this property owner. This is the one that's on the street that they said that the kids were jumping out of.
The boat
The
Yeah.
boat's gone.
and the
Okay.
trailer.
There.
Okay, so this trailer remains there.
The
Yes.
trailer has no
Okay.
tags.
Okay, so it still says that. So as of June the 2nd, the reason why I was asking is June the 2nd this was, I didn't know if he got smart and kind of, took it away to pick up the boat, I guess. So the trailer's still there with no tags. Okay,
We're double checking on the tag thing right now. We
Okay.
went by last week.
Yep. I did see that this was marked completed, and I threw it back on the yellow because I noticed the trailer was
Was
still
back,
there.
okay.
You sent me.
Yeah,
I don't think it's moved.
yeah, I don't
Okay.
think it has either.
No, I
All right,
did that.
so, and then if you guys wanna
both
give
of
me an
them.
update with that, and then I can contact the sheriff, cause that's not, it comes into us and we need to give it to the sheriff's department, but, this will be something that the sheriff's department will handle because it's on public roadway.
And at one point, we talked about, Melanie just kind of brought it up, chalking the tires, and according to the sheriff, that's unconstitutional, and so that's not how they handle that anymore.
Right.
So you'll submit that to the sheriff's department?
Yeah, so they're gonna double check the tag situation, because we'll have to have pictures of it.
But regardless of the tag or no tag, is there something more that should be done since it's been sitting there? Or is it fine to sit there?
It cannot sit there unless it's moved every 24 hours.
Right,
I don't have it.
Now, again, when we talk about has to be moved, meaning it could be ever so slightly,
Right.
yeah,
every 24 hours.
okay,
But it looks like the sheriff has made connection, because I had spoken to her the next day after we had this meeting the last time. So she is aware of, the property owner is aware that it cannot stay there. But
okay,
again, how you enforce or monitor every 24 hours, you would literally have to watch them do that to move it. But again, you can also get it with the no tag situation too.
right. Okay, then the last on the solicitor mayor follow-up list is, the condemned house at 205 North London. Last nuisance meeting, we talked about collecting some bids. I know a guy, but he's incredibly busy this season, so he has not been by, or been able to connect regarding a bid to get that torn down. Were you able to collect any bids for that?
That was at the mayor's
Yeah,
place.
we're not, just to be clear, we're not collecting any bids, but what we are gonna do is establish a budget around how much we're going to allocate towards this. So there shouldn't be any like formal submission considering council hasn't approved actually doing anything here. So if we want to budget, we should. So I've established the figure of $20,000 in order to tear it down. That would just be for the house. So
Okay.
I've spoken to several people in London who have done this recently. Their average cost is about $20,000.
Okay,
And if certainly it comes in under that, that's what we would want. But we're not actively bidding for any work yet. And by the way, Mr. Pitstick has given his view as to this as well.
He did,
Yep.
yeah.
and I know we've touched on it very briefly. There is a Madison County Land Bank, and I know you've said there's no money, but is there like an application process to maybe get on, I don't know.
There currently is nothing open in terms of project acceptance, so there's no round to apply to at this point.
Okay. Any
So
thoughts?
council's gonna have to make a decision as to what to do around the money on that.
As far as just allocating money in the budget?
And then hopefully recovering it on property taxes or at tax sale.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just had reached out to a township trustee, and I just told him that we have an abandoned property. Do you have any thoughts or people or advice? And he said he would ask around, but he did, I kind of suggested it, but maybe bringing it up to county commissioners, if they had any.
Well, they delegated this to the land bank. That's the responsibility of the land bank. That's what it's there for.
And then, so I guess I'm just wondering, like, what's up with the land bank? Why do they not,
They probably don't get
aren't
funding from-
accepting?
Yeah, the funding is erratic.
Yeah.
So it comes in when it comes in, and it's currently held up with DTAC funds. So there isn't, a giant bank balance there to go solicit projects for.
So what, my question is, okay, so if there are no taxes being owed on it. so
There
usually-
are.
Yeah, so usually what happens is if you don't pay your taxes, it's like a sheriff's sale.
Right.
There's actually one here on North London that's going up right
Yep.
now. So at when go into a sheriff's auction? Like, how long does it have to be delinquent before that happens? Do you know?
That's a county, I don't know, that's a
Yeah, I
county, that's a county, responsibility, not ours, but, suffice to say that about $7,000 is owed on it right
Yeah.
now.
So then, okay, because it's condemned, what if somebody comes in and says, I just want to buy that property?
Right.
So because it's condemned, do they have the capability to do that?
They can, so remember, we don't own it.
Right.
So let's
Well,
start
I'm
the
just
very,
saying, like,
so let's start the, hypothetically,
what
of course, you
happens?
can buy and sell property, anyone can buy and sell property. But, that would be very hard to do, considering that, the person who owns it has been dead for 25 years. So the likelihood of someone coming in and buying the property, quote unquote, is very, very low. However, they would be buying it subject to it being condemned. So under the health department order, to answer your question directly, they would have to commit to fixing the condemnation or tearing it down.
Right.
So pick one, either fix everything that's wrong with it or tear it down. Right now, it's pretty much unfixable. So it's so much a health hazard that it's unfixable and should be torn down.
But as a village, we do have the right to tear it down?
Well, I'll leave that to Mr. Pitstick's legal opinion. I don't want to opine on that. I have my own points of view about that, but yeah.
But I guess we're kind of assuming if we're going to put money towards it, that is something we can do.
I think you would have to submit that, I'm assuming, to the health department to let them know that,
I've already asked the health
Yeah.
department, they have punted back to us.
yeah.
So the health department was very kind in helping us condemn it, that's great. But the ultimate, like, cleanup of the property is our responsibility.
So we would just need to have legal interpretation from
Mhm.
Mystic to ask that.
Mm-hmm, yep. And legislation created, money's allocated, and then we'll go tear it down.
So you said that London just dealt with this, did London fund the tear down of the houses themselves?
Some
Were
of them,
they
yes.
able to secure
Yes.
Or
something?
if they would probably get,
They-
kind of like a grant, you would get
Yeah,
a
2 years
percentage.
ago, they got, basically money from the land bank when the feds gave money. So that money is gone. And then their council elected to spend money on blight remediation as well.
Okay, so do we need any recommendations for any legal type?
Well, the question is, when had you wanted to, like, do this? So we're going into budget season, so is this next year?
Yeah, I mean,
So
I would like to
right now, there's
budget
just
for it.
for everyone's, setting everyone's expectation, unless our fiscal officer says differently, there's no blight money set aside for this.
There's
Right,
not,
right.
there's not.
Yeah, we are gonna discuss, it's on the agenda for this group to discuss some budget items, and in my mind, this was one of them.
But again, this would be something for 2027.
Right,
Just,
right.
so Kyle, so you're clear of how that works. It wouldn't be immediate action. Like,
Right.
if you make a recommendation today and take it to council, what she's referring to is it would be in the 2027 budget season. Okay.
The tax thing you referred to about how long before
Right.
they do their thing, it's usually, if I'm correct on this, it's usually 3 years. When you're 3 years behind taxes. But what a lot of people do to keep it off the sheriff's sale, they'll make 1 year's worth of payment. It
Shot
keeps them
clock
off.
starts over.
Yep, then it all starts over again, and then you're back in the same thing next year, but they're still always 3 years behind.
So that's not really the case for this, nobody's
So why-
paying on any of the
I would
taxes?
say it's longer than
I
that.
say,
It is
why
longer than
has
that.
this property
Yeah.
not been up for?
Because he passed away, actually, COVID, 2020.
21.
Yeah, 21.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There should have been up probably. It's
Mhm.
probably just been overlooked.
Yeah.
I think that just in general, they're very deliberate about sending things to tax sales.
So maybe what the next step is contacting the county auditor.
Mhm.
I mean, that would be a step, that I'd be willing to email them and say, hey, has it been forgotten? I mean, maybe that's the next route we go, because that's what I was thinking, is there's a sheriff's sale. When the taxes are not paid,
Ideally, though,
people's names get put up in those
so
newspapers.
ideally, we want it torn down, though. So
Yeah.
just, going into the sheriff's sale, it should be an empty lot and not something that's sitting there.
well, that's what I'm saying.
That's
I
what I'm
don't
saying
know.
to council, is like, my preference is that it's torn down.
So if we
So
spent
there
this-
should be no, like, base level of expectation that anyone who buys at a sheriff's sale is gonna immediately turn around and, like, try to rehab it and then turn it into blighted housing that we then have to deal with all over again at Nuisance. So that's my point of view on the matter.
If we spent the money to tear it down, I know the county collects their back taxes first, would we be like second?
Like liable to pay for them?
Yeah, second to, you know, it has to get whatever they owe plus what we spend. If we don't get, and the tax sale doesn't sell for what we, you know, what we paid, then that's a loss back to the village.
Correct. Yeah, you're eating a cost. I don't know what else to tell you. You're gonna eat the cost to tear it down.
Well, I don't want to like dismiss Courtney's thought regarding connecting with the auditor. If you think there's some valuable information in connecting with them, then I think we should.
Just to see what that is, yeah.
And as
And-
far as how many years that's, yeah.
Mhm.
So do you need a recommendation or something for that?
Let's do that just to have it on the books that Courtney did reach out to him.
Yeah.
Okay, so this would be a recommendation, to contact, Madison County Auditor.
Yep, I'll make that.
For a status update for 205 London, North London.
Yep.
Heather, okay.
I'll second.
All right, roll call. Nathan?
Yes.
Okay, Kyle?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And Heather?
Yes. Okay. Staying on top of it. And we'll try to work it into the budget. So next we have a new color, and it's in tagged. And if you look at your little packet here, we have printed off both the ordinances that the blue is referring to. So 2018-48, and there was a little typo. The next one should be 2018-17. So I have both of these here. Why I think that's important, now that they're tagged, what's next?
Great.
So we'll just kind of look down the list. There's some issues going on over at Autumn Hayes and people parking in their lawns and things of that nature. So the first one is vehicle in yard and trash. So you'll see two different ordinances there, and I'm assuming they were tagged for both. So I haven't really got to thoroughly read through these. I just had her print them off for me today because I saw that they were referenced. As far as, Courtney, do you know off the top of your head as far
Yeah.
as next steps?
So here on, if you look at 2018-48, this would be under section 1, and then this would be option C.
Okay.
So it says, whoever violates this section shall be guilty of a traffic violation of a minor degree, and vehicle will be towed at owner's expense, and will need to be removed within 48 hours from being tagged. Now, as we all know, is that we always try to work with them first before we have to go to that option of doing that. So what would probably happen legally is that we would send out a letter, like a letterhead, village head from the attorney, to say, hey, you know, as of this date, you will be, you know, because again, these are attached to the tags. So when the sheriff's department delivers it, this is attached to them. So it probably would behoove them to read that. So obviously they have been notified by a tag, and then it says here, whoever violates this section shall be guilty of that traffic violation, and then be towed at their expense, and basically saying to them they should be removed at 48 hours.
Yes, and as we see, these have all well exceeded 48 hours. So,
Are they permanently parked, or are they parked and then moved and parked when they get back there at night? Cause I drove down Autumn Hayes the other day, I didn't notice a bunch of cars parked.
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
yeah, I followed up on these a few times, and almost every time they're still in the yard. I did see a truck get moved to do some yard work, but then the next time I went by, it was back. And you can see the dead spot in the grass where it's parked every single time. So, yeah, it's, at least the first three are all vehicle and yard, and they've all been tagged. They all are aware. So I guess, does anyone have any thoughts? I'm also for giving them a letterhead with, this is the date it's happening. But I also am concerned, that they'll move it for the evening and then it'll be back the next day. So, but there's nothing really we can do about that.
And I think the one down here that's in the white is one that probably will be moved up to that blue section of being tagged. If you guys, that one I think got Facebook famous. But this one here, it shows that this seems like it's a financial situation is the reason why it cannot be removed. When I start like aggressively talking to people, and if they're willing to understand and not be belligerent with me, I always say, hey, have you contacted so-and-so? And I'm not gonna use the tow truck driver's name out here, because I don't want anybody to think that, you know, out of the goodness of his heart that he does. And he has, believe me, he has, and for other nuisance committees, he's done it for free, you know, just because he knows it, he was sick of seeing it too. So some of these, I always try to call them and say, hey, you know, we got a local person, somewhat local, that lives right outside of town that has a tow truck business. And, you know, they would be willing to, you know, negotiate maybe a price, okay? Now, I'm not gonna say that he will always do that, but, I mean, it's probably worth a shot for us to say, hey, would it be okay if the villagers reaches out to him and says, hey, you know, we've got, you know, there's a lot of cars on Autumn Hayes. And we know that some of them are just there and probably not operable. I mean, I'll be honest with you, there was probably 3 of them that are probably not operable. And that we can suggest to say, hey, you know, this company would be willing to do that. I know them, I think you know them, and just say, hey, you know, can we do just a cleanup of vehicles? And, you know, they would be sitting in his impound lot, and maybe they can make payments to him. And again, this is just something I'm thinking outside of this box about, is that if some of them are financial restraints, you know, tow bills can probably be pretty expensive. So maybe if this is something that, you know, if you guys are willing to allow me to do that, I can contact him and say, hey, you know, and we can give that option to them and say, hey, if he removes it, you know, and again, this would have to be a big if he's willing to do that. I mean, it would just sit in his impound lot for, I don't know, if he puts a date on it, in 30 days, you have 30 days to pay me. And then if not, becomes mine. But again, that is if the resident is willing to do that. Now, this particular one that's in the white, down here on 7-7, that one was pretty bad, okay?
As far as, conflict. Yeah, and we haven't tagged them yet.
Yeah, and we didn't because I felt like it was probably just maybe a bad time, a bad day, you know, financially stressed, you know, so I kind of let it lie a little bit, and you'll see that, you know, left a message, will pinned until calls back, will not issue a tag, because, you know, they were pretty upset about it. And again, if it was a financial situation, maybe we can give them that option. You know, I mean, I'm just saying, like, thinking outside of the box is, you know, why can't we just contact some of the local, you know, tow companies and say, okay, you know, are you willing to, you know, maybe it's the value of the car, for instance. You know, we're not talking about a Porsche or anything like that. You know, maybe they can't get it out of the lot, and maybe he could work with them. And this is a big what if, okay? I'm just saying it's an option to help if it's a financial constraint. But you know, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on here that could be knocked off the list if that's something that he would be willing to, you know,
Yeah.
part out. Or maybe that person doesn't know that's an option and say, okay, here's the title, I'm not gonna do anything with it, you know? And then he can part it out, he can fix it if it's fixable, or if he could scrap it.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be an option.
Yeah. I'd like to kind of stick to some consistency as far as tagging, sending a letterhead, working with the tow. So I kind of think that should be the sequence instead of just going straight from white to working with tow company. I do think at least this one should fall up into the blue, get tagged. And then we give them the same grace that we do for the ones that have already been tagged with the letterhead. But I do think, all of the ones that have already been tagged and have exceeded that timing, that I would recommend that you go ahead and send them a letter from the village saying, this is gonna happen, per our ordinance.
So it would probably be like a pit stick legal letterhead or whatever that would have him saying, you know, it's on the village letterhead, but he would sign it. You know, he's gonna be our solicitor for nuisance cases, so it would be like a village letterhead, but his attorney language and his, if you have any questions, it would be brought down to his office, you know,
Right.
kind of deal. But like, you know, the consistency on this, you know, as we have Courtney issued tag, Courtney issued tag, Courtney issued tag, you know, Courtney called resident, tagged, you know, so in the blue, it's already been tagged. It's just, you know, the next step is if we can call back these residents and say, okay, the committee has agreed as a recommendation to, you know, hey, after, and again, this is after I talked to the tow truck company. Hey, you know, we're willing to have so-and-so come in there and take it. And, you know, he's agreed to work out some sort of payment plan with you. Or, hey, let's just take it out of your hands. And that's free for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, he would gain the money out of it. Now he's gonna have to hoist it up and, you know, do that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, he gets a title for it and scrap it. I mean, you know, the only thing he's doing is putting it on his rollback and
Right.
taking it to a scrapyard. So maybe that would be a win-win for both, is
Right.
he gets a little bit of money, but he doesn't get a payment. He just gets the scrap metal from it, or the parts off of it maybe. And, they get it for free, taken away.
Yeah. So at least two, maybe three are kind of just really sitting there. I've only witnessed one move. So yeah, I think if you could work out something with the tow company, good verbiage that Pit Stick could incorporate into a letterhead type of
Right.
letter, and send those letters to the ones that have been tagged and have exceeded their 48 hours. And then they will have a date on that, and when that date comes, our towing company does that. And if no contact has been made to the property owners, or they're like, I'm not for any of that, then we're gonna have to tow it anyways, and then take it out of their taxes, or,
Well, I'm always conscious, or I'm always cautious about that, is because, you know, when you pay your taxes, it's always a year behind, right? So if you issue it this year, next year you're paying for 2026 in hopes that, you know, they do pay that on there. So I try to get around not the village taking any amount of debt from any resident, because again, I don't know if you all have noticed this in nuisance, is that what you do for one is you do for all. So we don't want to get into that routine of, okay, well, we're gonna mow your grass and, you know, we're just gonna add it to your taxes. Because again, it's out of sight, out of mind. You're not gonna see that for the next 2 years. So they could sell the house at that point. Now it becomes somebody else's problem after that, right? You know, because whoever buys it has to pay for whatever delinquents that they do have. I always try to like work it out right then and there so that there's no debt.
right,
So that would be the whole reason why I would say, you know, if legally, say we do have a belligerent person that says, no, you're not coming on my property, you are not taking the vehicle off of my property, even though it doesn't work and even though I'm in violation, there has to be some strong attorney language, right? You know, they're not gonna have an option at that point. So, that's where I would try to work with the tow truck company and say, hey, this is a good exchange,
you get the vehicle.
you get the vehicle,
Don't charge
we're not
us.
out of it, and we don't got the citation.
Okay,
So I don't try to make that a routine, because then, you know, residents will know that, and they say, well, take it off my property, I don't care. You know,
Well,
like,
we
I'll
could call
move.
any junkyard, and most of them will pay you for your they will give you scrap price to pick it up off your yard, so.
Yeah, well, what happens is to get it there if you don't have that title. So why we try to contact them is that you wanna have the title if he can, let's just say he can resell it, right? I mean, you have to have a clear title. to resell, an abandoned vehicle.
Any vehicle you sell to a scrapyard, you have to have a title to.
Well, that's what we're saying, is that some of these may not be, and they may just be one that's gonna be junked, and, he can do it for free. So what I'm saying is, if that was an option, why wouldn't people use it? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just
Well,
saying, like,
any-
here, it could.
Any impound lot, there's laws set up, once your car's been impounded, if it's, I believe it's 90 days, but I could be wrong. The impound lot has your car for 90 days, they can file for title.
Yeah, but I mean, being with Grace though, if that's what we're gonna have our stance on, and that's what you guys are wanting to do, it's always good to have somebody local to say, hey, I can, I want my vehicle and I just wanna make payments. Maybe they can't afford it and they want their vehicle back, they can make payments, let's just say it's $50 a week, to say, okay, can you keep this? And he can schedule, I mean, maybe it's not a 30-day, maybe he's willing to keep it for 6 months and give it back to him. I mean, that's the kind of things is what I'm talking about, is that you're not taking it off their property, because the one that's in white, obviously, they still want it.
Yeah.
It's a financial burden is what is the problem. So I'm just trying to say is that if you have somebody local that is willing to do that, scrapyards don't do that. This tow company may be able to do that, just to, because he does do a lot of work here in town,
Yeah.
by Grace.
Okay, so then we need to make a recommendation on how to move forward with the ones that have been tagged and have exceeded that ordinance timing. But it sounds like a good way to go about it would be work with the tow company to come up with some verbiage, an agreement, and then have Pit Stick put on letterhead his legal twist on that, and send it to these people with a date, and say you need to reach out to this tow company by this date.
And then just give a legal date, so whatever Pit Stick believes that. Now, according to this, it says 48 hours.
Right.
So if that's something that maybe Pit Stick thinks, okay, maybe you'll get a little bit more traction if it's a 2-week situation, because what if, they're on vacation, and then you take it out of their property, that sort of thing.
48
But-
hours is quick.
But even trying to call them, because these people I have all made contact with, to call resident. Now, of course, if they don't answer, that's when the tag will be issued. So I feel like maybe the 48 time period is probably not enough for them to understand or to get back.
Yeah. And it'll probably take Pit Stick longer than 48 hours to even get the letter put together and connecting with the tow company. So what does everyone think that's a good process, or should we be putting the hammer down? What does everyone think?
I feel that's fine.
That's fine. So,
Problem with it?
okay,
And again, if it doesn't work, we're back to the same drawing.
yeah. And then it'll be up to us to work out a deal with the tow company.
Maybe we could reach out to them and set up something long-term, some sort of long-term agreement, so next year we have another problem with cars, we already have that set up with them, so we,
Well, that was my intention, is to use him numerously for situations. And it could gain him business too, because, when you're seeing somebody with a tow truck and you're, they're like, oh, well, I didn't know we had this. And maybe it is a tactic of, that he is willing to do that, and that's a permanent
does he
agreement.
have an impound lot?
He does. Yep.
Is this something we can invite him to our next meeting?
Yeah, I can ask him. But either way, I'll let you all know if he says yay or nay. And again, this is just thinking outside this box, so this is not putting words into his mouth. It's just that it may be an option. I mean, worst we can say is no, and then,
Yeah. And they've already been tagged, they've already exceeded, we're not gonna meet for another month plus. I would love to see this letter and an email to the group, and I don't know what's appropriate or what's allowed. Do we just make the recommendation now to go ahead and get those out to those 3 that have already been tagged, and then tag the new one, and then after 48 hours, go ahead and send that letter to that one and do the exact same thing?
Well, you know, like you're saying, you don't want to put the cart before the horse, right? So, I mean, as a recommendation, it would be to allow Courtney to reach out to the tow truck company and to see if there is some sort of assistance or payment plan that residents can be put on. That's the first step. And if that's the case, Courtney then can contact these residents either by phone or by, mail, putting a tag on by the sheriff's department, and then giving you the update to say, okay, Courtney at 1 South London Street, her car's gonna be towed at, August the 3rd or whatever. Because I feel like making a phone call to them, because I've already connected with them, and they know that it's a violation, that sometimes, if you're talking to them personally, you do get a little bit more, empathy, I guess. And to control the conversation than to say, okay, well, if you're gonna be towed in 48 hours, they're gonna be pretty upset, like, especially the one down here the other one on 7-7.
Yeah. Well, I like the thought of 2 weeks, and if that's what Pit Stick recommends, then
'Cause
I
either
would
way,
like
we
to
can
work
call.
that in with the tow company.
Okay, so we are at 6:31, so do you wanna make an extension to
Yes.
extend? Okay.
I'm gonna make a motion to extend for 10 more minutes,
Okay.
and hopefully we can get through this.
All right, so that's at 6:41.
I'll
Okay.
second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed?
Okay.
Okay, so that would be what the motion would be. And again, I'll communicate this. Now, if Heather feels that at that point, now again, no discussion back and forth, it makes a public record, obviously, so this is just gonna, these emails are just gonna be an informed email, not a, you need to make a recommendation, because you can't do that legally through email. So if that's something that she decides that she wants to do, she can always call another meeting and say, hey, let's take action on it. But this will be something that I will gather all this information, bring it to you, and then Heather will make a recommendation to say, hey, Courtney, reach out to everybody and see if we need to have another meeting.
Thank you,
Okay.
Courtney.
Yep, you're
Thank you.
welcome.
Yes, so that takes care of the top three.
Now, I didn't get a second on that, sorry, before you
Oh.
go.
Second.
Okay. All right, Nathan,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Okay.
Then we do have a collection in the yard, and that is the 2018-17, and is this kind of the same verbiage, like 48 hours
Yeah,
to
so-
get the collection taken care of?
This one actually has a fee attached to it, and it's probably because it's, this was before my time, so I apologize. The attorney before had put this in a different color, because this is a copy. At the second page at the very bottom, okay? This is $150 offense.
After 48 hours.
Correct.
And so, since this has been past 48 hours, are we collecting the 150, or how does that work?
Well, okay, so it really depends, like I always say, the will of the committee. So the will of the committee has to enforce this. So you can tag it 100 times if you want, you can tag it 151 times if you want. You can have me call them 151 times. It's the will of the committee. And what I say by that is that after you have tagged it, and after they have not complied, the village will issue an invoice, and it goes to the address, and it says, okay, obviously it would be a letter of, from the solicitor, and it would say, okay, starting on, well, I'm just gonna throw a date out there, August the 1st, from this point on, you will be charged $150 every single day that it is not picked up.
Which address is this one?
This one is on East Columbus, and I did drive by this one prior to this meeting, and I believe the collection that people are referring to is still there. And I have pictures.
Is this the one, that's the gray house?
It's like the very first house
Okay.
after the,
Just so you know, so I have this
Real.
particular person, texted me, this is probably something that wasn't updated on the spreadsheet. It's just hard sometimes when you see East Columbus, when you have a couple different citations on there. Let me. Okay, so this was, something that I had,
it's right
Tagged.
across from Napa.
it's the one that you talk about, Nathan.
Okay.
Okay.
It's got the pop-up tent in the driveway.
Yeah. So, on July 17th, which is what's on the spreadsheet, contacted them and advised them of a time frame. So I've just willy-nilly just gave them a time frame. Because again, it was past the 48 hours. So to show the grace, we were saying, hey, you have 7 days. So I told her that she had 7 days to get this taken care of. This particular property, there are some mental illness as well, so I tried to tread with that with lightly, as, you know, what are you capable of doing, and not giving a demand. Okay, so this is, okay, do you think that we could remove maybe 3 items from this property by August the 3rd is what I think what I said to her. She says, yes, that's doable. So then, you know, it's the next attempt that I make. It's like, hey, you know, because I have it in text. Hey, let's by August the 9th, let's go ahead and remove 4 more items from that. Okay? Now, again, if anybody has ever had a mental illness before, it is hard to, you know, if you are in a hoarding situation or a hoarding problem, is that those items are very important to them. So if you tell them that they have to clear it within, you know, 2 hours, it's going to be a very difficult situation for them. So in order to, you know, help them and not force them is one thing, knowing what we do know, right? So there was a reply back, and this was like 3 days later. I will get this stuff hauled off. I will get those items, and we talked about what items she had. And, you know, one was a bucket, you know, one was a box that wasn't being used. I will get those items off this week. Sorry about that. I know that it looks terrible.
Yeah.
So on this particular one, it's what you do is you kind of get to know them, right? And you kind of understand that, okay, it's an illness sometimes that you can't control. So if this is something that we can probably try to, you know, 1 item at a time, it would be better for both her and for the village, right?
Do you need a recommendation on
Yeah.
that to just keep doing what you're doing with?
Okay, so
That
that
type
will
of
fall back.
process?
So Heather, that would come back to out of the blue into the white,
Okay.
okay?
I don't
Alright.
think it's right to find somebody, especially if they're going through something like that.
That's right, yeah. So
Yeah,
this would be.
and,
okay,
like you've mentioned, one person's junk collection is another person's trash, or, you know, collectibles, and you can tell they do have it up against a fence. Like, the yard looks decent, but it is collection of junk, period.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Okay, so that was Nathan, and who was second?
I'll second.
All right, I'll take a roll call. Nathan?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yep.
Melanie?
Yes.
And Heather?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll try to I'll put that one and put that in white.
Then, just trying to get through these last 3 really quick. I did want to talk about budget, but I'm not sure we're going to have time for that. We might have to add another 5 minutes. But it looks like you're working with people on 2 different addresses right beside each other on cars, campers, trailers in the yard. Do you need anything from us for that, or are you just working with them?
Just working with them. It's been challenging on that one.
Yeah, I know it's been around for a while. Okay, I would make the recommendation just to keep things even. The vehicle parked in the yard at Autumn Hayes, we go ahead and tag,
Yep.
and then do the same process we're doing for the other ones that have already been tagged on Autumn Hayes.
Yep.
Do you need a
Yeah,
recommendation?
let's put that one on the 7-7. We'll refer to it as 7-7.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll second.
okay.
so that'll be moved to blue.
Yep. And then this will be blue. Okay, so that was Heather. Then Nathan. And again, this is a motion to move the 7-7 address of Autumn Hayes into the blue, and then go through the same process on that. Roll call, Nathan?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And Heather?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the last one, West Main, same thing, vehicle and yard. It looks like it's a rented house. Do we need to move forward with the
So
same thing?
on this one here, I just got a message. This one, Misty knows the person directly. And what this situation with this one is that they thought they could just place gravel there. But remember, gravel, asphalt, concrete are an approved surface per the building code of the state of Ohio, okay? But remember, you can't just create and throw gravel down
Gotta go
because
through
it's
zoning.
considered a driveway. So again, then you would have to pull out a permit to have zoning get involved and confirm that the structure is correct, you know, that there's not gonna be sinking. You have to pull a permit out for a driveway.
So can we refer this one to Christie and zoning?
Well, what I was gonna do with this one is that, and I put it out here for a reason, it is a rented house. So the owner of the property can just tell them that it needs to be removed. So I feel like Misty definitely has a connection with her, so maybe we can ask Misty to say, okay, it needs to be removed, because you can't put it on a hard, you can't just create a hard surface, right? You know, you can't, unless the surface is already there.
So if you could connect with Misty to do that, and then when we circle back, if nothing's been done, then we'll get it into zoning.
Okay. And let's just see if she can have it removed.
Yeah.
One question I had before we finish, on the first page at the bottom in the red in the zoning, the Jefferson Street, would that not qualify under what we was just giving for the one with all the debris in front of it? I know it's a structure that they built, but all the trash and stuff that's up there.
Well, what we were gonna do with this is that was gonna be encompassing of that. So because they have a expired construction permit, she was gonna tag it all for everything. Because
No,
they're,
this is the one on not the one on this side.
not on the corner.
The one, down between Jefferson and I think it's Madison down there.
Okay,
They
I'm gonna
have-
make a recommendation to add 5 more minutes.
I'll second.
okay, all in favor?
Second.
It's the. It's the one on 9/10/25 that's dated.
Okay.
It's got the stuff that they put something around it to try to cover it up, but
Oh, you mean in the front yard?
yes, it's
It
right in
is
the
like a
front yard.
little shed
Yeah.
thing,
Oh,
looking thing.
That's an
Okay.
unapproved structure, but I mean everything's still viewable. So can we not do that 150 ordinance?
Well, here's, okay, there's a little bit of a history on this one, okay? This one, we do have to, I would recommend, if I were handling this and giving you the advice, that you tread with this one very cautiously, okay? Because there has been incidents in the past, and, you know, just to, I guess, tame Facebook and to tame accusations, because that's not to say too much about it, but there were in this particular, for this particular reason. So what I would do is, it needs to be probably handled by zoning. Now, I know now which one you're talking about.
Okay.
There's a house that's for sale, but right beside it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are items that are up on top of the porch. So this one here, and I think Christy touched on this one a little bit, is that she's gonna tag everything that's in a violation. So once it goes to zoning, everything that is a problem with it, I always tell Christy, tag everything in it in one letter. So that we don't have different timelines. If there are several citations, we're only dealing with one citation, and it's for everything. So that the only communication that this particular property owner has is only with Christy.
Okay.
Mind you, this is not an owned property. This is a rented facility. So that speaks a lot of volume sometimes when you're dealing with a renter versus an owner. So if this one, I would make a definite recommendation, is that it all be handled through law. and
Okay.
legal. But I know what you're talking about. It looks like Heather's already waiting for her to reply back. Was in the exchange of emails. It looks like Christy hasn't gotten to it yet.
Yeah, that was just my question.
Yeah.
Is why it wasn't moved over, but I get it now.
Okay.
Yep. Christy has replied a few times about having site visits canceled multiple times in a row, and then she had a car issue. I mean, it's been around for a while, but hopefully I get a better update soon. So, then, last but not least, we have like 2 minutes, just to look at finance, budgeting. I was gonna make the recommendation for the 20,000 to be set aside for this tear down. I also, I wanted to look into possibly, at one point, there was a code enforcement, and they were $15 an hour, 10 hours a week, for a very short length of time where there's the most nuisance reported. So like when the grass is getting tall, so like April through whatever, 6 months. So it was a thought, and I wanted to see what the committee thought.
Mr. Mayor, what's the availability of the money for this, both?
For, say what
For
now?
both. What's the availability of the money? You're talking $20,000, it's a lot of money.
It
to
is.
come up with.
It
But
is.
Also, now you're talking $15 an hour, times it by 10 hours a week.
I think the math was around 3,600
Okay.
for the year.
So is that
Was it-
something
I
that's
don't-
doable when you're?
I don't recall
budget?
I apologize, we don't, the last we've had
It was
coded.
$15 an hour.
Yeah, but for how many hours?
It was like a part-time gig.
Yeah,
I
but
can't
it was,
remember the exact hours.
what was it, like more than 700?
I can't remember.
I
Don't
would,
get me
we,
confused with the
we would,
assistant.
we would have to go back and look,
Yeah,
but.
'cause it's been a
so
while.
Today, yeah, we haven't had one for some time, and, today we don't have anything allocated for either one of these things, so, yeah.
Something looking into for next year's budget, you have an idea what the money situation is that
Yeah.
gonna be something doable, or?
I don't know, that's council's decision, really, to be honest with you, but, in terms of my priority would be tearing the house down. Yeah, by a long shot, it's by far the highest priority, as it relates to nuisance.
And just remember, you have committee here. There's a reason why 3 council members get paid, not a lot. But if you are an elected official, what's your platform? Is to help the residents, right? So unfortunately, sometimes you don't get to pick to choose in what committee you want to be on. But being an elected official, you have to take complaints. You have to take resident issues, yelling, arguing, professionally, right? Not all the time will you get them, right? Not all the time will you always have somebody that's always very jolly that comes in here and says nice things. But as an elected official, it is your dual responsibility to take care of things like this. And if you have members, Kyle, you've been very active, and I appreciate that. Nathan, you've been very active. Heather, you've been very active. And that's what the committee should be doing. You are an elected official. Act like it. And if there are complaints, deal with it, because what will the committee then do? Because at the end of the day, committees only make recommendations. Everything gets taken to council, right? So at some point, if you have a code enforcement officer and you pay the $15 to them, they're doing your job. So do you dismiss the committee then? Because you'll just take it straight to council.
Well, you could argue, according to our solicitor, because we had this issue,
Right.
and he did say our job as a committee is to update ordinances, to make sure, things are moving forward. So not so much is it on us to be out there in the streets, doing that part of it. So you could argue that a code enforcement is something that's needed. But if we're working fine the way it is, so be it. But I wouldn't ever want to put that on somebody, a committee member that doesn't have that flexibility. But I just wanted to throw those things out there. They're going to start working on finance, but we do have to adjourn this meeting. So we'll go ahead and adjourn it.
6:48.
Thank you, guys. That's why we moved it up a half hour.
If that is $15,
Okay, and Heather, I got this for you.
it'd be a year.
Thank you.
Sounds like they're just wanting us to do it from like July to.
This isn't even the right one.
Yeah, but then when they handle the snow ordinances and stuff, I mean, I don't know. I mean, something to think about. Yeah.
I'm just more concerned about what.
Right.